Hi everybody, it's Dan and welcome back to my kitchen. Today we are going deep into the holidays and we're making my fresh winter spiced cherry pie. Even the most novice baker can achieve success with this easy and delicious cherry pie recipe. With a homemade cherry pie filling and a flaky buttery crust, that will make this cherry pie your ultimate favorite, especially with a big scoop of ice cream. I'll be sure to throw a link to the recipe down below in the description. And stay tuned at the end of the video for more information about the KitchenAid stand mixer giveaway. And if you're new in my kitchen, like I am, it's still new, it's only been a week, definitely be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to turn notifications so you don't miss out every time I post a new video. Now to kick this cherry pie off, let's get started with our delicious winter spice cherry pie filling. So let's move over to the stove and we're gonna turn our oven on to medium heat and we're gonna start adding in our dark sweet cherries. Then we're gonna add in our water, our lemon juice, our white sugar, our vanilla, our cornstarch, and our winter spices of cinnamon, ground nutmeg, ground cloves, and a little dash of allspice. Then we're gonna go ahead and just combine all these together, get everything in there, and get everything nice and mixed. You really wanna get those spices mixed in there. Now what we want to do is we want to bring this to a boil, and once we're at that boil, we're going to reduce the heat to a low and cook, stirring frequently for about 10 minutes. After that 10 minutes of cooking on the stove, your cherries will come together in a nice cherry pie glaze, and you should be able to smell those aromatic fall flavors of cinnamon, ground cloves, nutmeg, all the spices that are going to be perfect for our winter spice cherry pie. So we'll go ahead and turn our oven off, scoot this over to the side and let it cool until we're ready to fill our pie. Let's go ahead and get started on our buttery, flaky pie crust. You want to grab yourself a large mixing bowl and a pastry blender if you have one. If not, just use your hands or 2 forks. But if you're really in a pinch for time and you want to save yourself a little bit of some holiday stress, especially when it comes to cooking and baking, I'll link to a video down below in the description so you can check out and see how to make a pie crust in a food processor that tastes just as delicious, and it saves like 20 minutes in the kitchen, and who doesn't love that? So anyway, let's go ahead, grab your large mixing bowl, and to that we want to start adding in our all-purpose flour, our white sugar, and a little bit of salt. Then you just want to give those a quick little whisk and combine those dry ingredients together. Once those are nice and whisked, you want to add in your butter. I like to cut my butter into table-sized pieces, if not maybe a little bit smaller, and I like to make sure that it's nice and cold. So I'll pop this in the freezer for about 45 minutes to an hour before I'm ready to put this in my pie crust. But we're ready now, so let's go ahead and add that in. Make sure all that butter is in there. And put that aside. Now it's time to grab your pastry blender or your hands, and we're gonna go in. And you really just wanna continue to cut this butter into the flour and your sugar and your salt until you have small, almost pea-sized pieces. But I like to mix it up, and I like to have a little bit of bigger chunks in there as well. Maybe the size of almonds, ranging to the size of peas. This way I can make sure I get a nice flaky buttery crust. So we're just gonna continue, it's a lot of elbow grease. Whew. Really just wanna cut that butter in there. Rotate the bowl a little bit and just really press in there. And get that butter mixed up. All right, perfect. I think that will do it. We got nice sizes of our butter cut into this flour mixture. Again, pea sizes to the size of almonds. And it's gonna make for a great buttery flaky crust, which is gonna go perfect for our winter spice cherry pie filling. Now it's time to add in about 2 tablespoons of ice cold water. And we'll add another one just for good measure. Then we just wanna go back in with our pastry blender and work that water into our flour and our butter until it kind of becomes a little shaggy, if you will, or messy, unkempt, weird. I don't know the best way to describe it, but you just want to work that butter in there and really just get that flour and butter mixed into it. Perfect. Let's clean this off a bit because now we're going to go in with our hands. So we don't need this, and just we'll just put it right there. That works. Now we're going to add in some vodka. You can either add in vodka or lemon juice. Don't worry if you want to add in the vodka, especially if it's for the family gathering. This will bake right out of the pie crust. Just add about 1 to 2 tablespoons. Or if it's a stressful Thanksgiving, maybe another dash. Now all we have to do is go in with our hands and begin to knead this and work this together until it starts to clump and hold its shape. Now the reason why we're adding the vodka, same thing with the lemon juice, is the vodka will help bring the dough together without activating the gluten, and the alcohol again does bake off. And I like doing this in a bowl since there's really just less cleanup, and who doesn't enjoy less cleanup on the holidays? Just work that dough again until it just clumps together. Just should do this a little easily. Now it does look a little too crumbly, so I'm maybe add another splash of vodka, just a little bit. Don't judge me. Let's get this in there. Ooh, that's all right. It'll bake off. Let's get back in there. Now, if your crust is a bit crumbly, you can still sprinkle in an extra tablespoon of either that lemon juice, that vodka, or water. Either way, you want to begin to gently knead it together until the dough clumps together. And as you can see, it is beginning to hold its shape, which is perfect. So that extra dash of vodka definitely helped out a lot, which is just perfect. And we are actually almost done. Just want to get all these pieces together into one delicious buttery flaky pie crust dough ball. And we are all set. Perfect. Look at that pie crust. All nice clumped together, buttery bits peeking through. Now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get our plastic wrap and we're gonna throw this pie crust right on top. I always hate this, it's just such a mess. Get a nice good piece out. Perfect. And then we just throw this right on the plastic without making any more of a mess. Yay. I like to squish it down a little bit just to make sure it stays in its place. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna wrap this, and as we're wrapping it, we're gonna work it into a nice flat disc. And we have our nice disc shape of our buttery flaky pie crust. I can't say that enough. It's my favorite pie crust. I can eat this by itself, which is hard to say because pie crust tends to be kind of blah and boring, but this one, not at all. But once you have this tightly wrapped and in your nice disc, you can go ahead and pop this in the fridge and let it chill for a half hour, or if you're making it ahead of time, up to a week. Now I was getting ready to make the second pie dough, but it turned out I actually already had one, but nonetheless, you will need to make the pie crust recipe twice. I like to split it up, this way I can have 2 separate discs, but if you want to do it all at once, you just double the recipe and make it in one big bowl and you're good to go. Either way though, we're going to be using 2 pie dough batches. Simple as that. Once you're ready to roll out your pie dough, you want to take one of your discs and we're going to take a lightly floured surface, or if you have a silicone mat, those will work too. I can just never find one that's big enough to roll out a good pie shell. So I'm just going to use the whole counter and we're going to sprinkle, oh, this is going to be such a mess. We're going to sprinkle that and we're going to begin to just roll this out. So let's get this here and just work it a little bit, just a little bit, not too much though, because you don't want to begin to melt the butter, especially if your hands run warm like mine tend to do. But I like to just get it into a ball to make it easier to roll out into the shape that I want. So let's roll this out to about 1/4 of an inch thick. Then we're going to go ahead and we're just going to gently roll this on the rolling pin. Grab our pie plate and unroll it on. And we are ready. Now all we have to do is just shape this in here. Make sure it's nice and snug. This way there are no cracks and no soggy bottoms. There we go. I think this is gonna be good. I can't wait. I'm so excited. Cherry pie is my favorite. Now let's go ahead and cut the excess off. We don't need all this pie dough. And I just like to trim around the plate. This way I know I have enough and I don't have too much. But save this pie dough because we can definitely use it, either for mini cherry pies or for some nice decorations for on top of our pie. Now I like to flower petal mine on, but you can either do the fork around the rim of the pie, or you can pinch it and make a star. There we go. Now let's get ready to blind bake our pie crust. I like to blind bake, especially when doing a wet filling. This way I know that the shell is really gonna hold its shape. And again, no soggy bottoms. So I'm gonna take some parchment paper and we're just gonna press this in here. Not too much though. Then we're gonna add a layer of aluminum foil. The foil will help support the sides while the crust bakes, preventing it from sagging or even collapsing. And to help keep that aluminum foil in place, we're gonna add some pie weights. Now you can either use actual ceramic pie weights, you can use dry beans, or you can just get a nice decorative container, add some white rice, and you're good to go. Dry white rice. So we'll just pour that in. It's gonna be really noisy. But we wanna keep that in place. And I like to use the rice or the dry beans or even the ceramic ones if you wanna spend that kind of money. They're like 10, 12 bucks for I think maybe a half pound or a pound, but reuse them. And they're great, especially when making pies. So we'll just add all that in there. Spread it around. And we're all set for the oven. So let's go ahead, set our oven to 425 degrees and bake for 20 minutes. Now while our pie crust is baking in the oven, let's get our next batch of dough ready for our lattice. So we want to take our next pie disc and we're going to roll it out again just to about 1/4 of an inch. Then we just want to cut some strips. So I like to start mine off in a square or a rectangle. And again, we're going to save the scraps because this is what we're going to use to put our little decorations right around the edge of our pie. It's going to make it really cute and festive. I can't wait. I'm so excited. But now that we have our square, let's go ahead and we're going to cut out strips that are about, let's say 1/2 inch, maybe 1 inch long, depending on how delicate you want your lattice to be. And actually that strip is kind of ugly, so we're not going to use that. And if you have a pizza cutter, that would actually work great here. Mine is still packed in the box and I don't know where that is. So we're gonna just use a knife and try to make these as uniform as possible. With our pie shell done with its blind bake, we can get ready to fill this up with our winter spice cherry pie filling. We want to go ahead and we want to dock the pie crust. Now what that means is that we're going to pierce the bottom with a fork so steam can escape and give us a nice delicious pie crust bake. And this way we don't have any soggy bottoms. And this way we don't have a soggy bottom. Next, we're gonna go in with a simple egg wash. Now what I do for my egg wash is I'll take 1 egg and about 1 tablespoon of either milk, whole milk, or heavy whipping cream. And then we're just gonna lightly brush this around our pie shell. This will give us a nice golden color and a nice shine to it as well, which is gonna make it so appetizing and so inviting, and everyone's just really just gonna want to slice. I want to slice now, but you know, that's because I know it's gonna be delicious. Don't forget the edges of the pie. That's gonna be the best part. I don't know about you, but I love dipping pie edges in Cool Whip. It makes for like a dessert after dessert. So we really want to make these as delicious as possible. Let bake for another 15 minutes. Now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna fill our pie shell with our delicious homemade winter spice cherry pie filling. It just, it smells like the holidays. It's so good. When you make this, definitely let me know what you think about the aroma, because it's just, with the cinnamon and the cloves and the nutmeg, it's just, honestly, I can stand here and I can smell it all day. But we got a pie to bake and we got a pie to eat, so let's get this filled in. Let's just go ahead and scoop this right into it. You really want to get those cherries spread in that pie shell. Perfect, it already looks so good. We're almost done though. We're almost ready for the oven one more time. Now we just gotta do our lattice work for the top of our pie. So let's grab our strips and let's begin to lay these on top. So we'll start this way. This will be easier. And we'll try to keep them as straight as possible with enough room though, because we don't want this cherry pie to be hit with too much moisture, especially when it's baked in the oven. So I like to leave, you know, a good amount of space between each of my lattice strips. Now time to go the other way. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna fold this one back carefully. We're gonna add another strip here. We're just gonna weave it. Be a little gentle with your strip. And just do this, where we can bring those strips that we're going to be going under, but you want to do that quickly because the pie shell is already hot and we don't want the butter to start melting too much. So I think we have enough room for one more strip here, which is perfect. Now what we want to do is we want to take this extra dough off, and then we're going to tuck everything underneath. So don't let it hang too much. It should be able to just tear right off, which is perfect. All right, so now let's go in and we're gonna gently raise our shell. It should be stiff enough to hold its shape to where you can take these lattice strips and you can kind of just tuck it underneath, like a little blanket. Now we're going to do a quick little brush, again just to get those nice golden crisp pie topping. Be gentle with your lattice because you don't want it to tear, especially if you're sticking to that 1/4 inch thickness. And especially if your kitchen is super hot like mine is right now. And bake at 350 degrees for 45 to 50 minutes. Once your pie is done baking, you will have a delicious winter spiced, I'm gonna take these off. You will have a warm, delicious winter spice homemade cherry pie. And it's gonna be perfect for the holidays because there's nothing like a fresh cherry pie bubbling through a rich, flaky crust. And again, it really just comes together so quick, so easily for a perfect holiday pie. You got that buttery, flaky homemade crust, those warm autumn winter spices, and that homemade cherry pie filling. Really, you just can't go wrong. It's just, chef's kiss. I can't wait to eat this. I'm thinking about it now. I know I can't, it's gotta wait, but it's gonna be so good. Well, thank you all for stopping by. I had so much fun showing you how to make my warm winter spice cherry pie. If you're a fan of cherry pies or a fan of just pies in the holiday season, why not give this video a thumbs up? Helps me out, lets me know I'm picking up recipes you all like, you enjoy, and you want to see more of. And if you want even more quick, easy, simple recipes that you can bake with confidence, definitely be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to turn on notifications so you don't miss out every time I post a new video. Like maybe a delicious blueberry pie. I haven't made one of those in so long, and they're actually my favorite pie. Don't tell this one, but it's so good. Plus, I still have 19 KitchenAid sandwiches to give away. So if you haven't already, be sure to enter down below. Once you enter the giveaway, you'll have 20 chances to win and lots of ways to enter. Lastly, don't forget, if you make your own winter spice cherry pie, or if you're baking up some of your own delicious pies, definitely give a tag on Instagram. You know, let me see what you're baking up in your kitchen. Alrighty, well I'm gonna grab a cup of coffee. I'm gonna cool off because it is so hot in this kitchen. But I hope you all are having a fantastic holiday. And as always, I'll see you all in the next video very soon. Bye.